Alright, cockpit is mostly together from the first few steps. I haven't put the instrument panel in yet because it's still wet. So I've put, there's two decals, the lower piece and then the main one. And what I did with the instrument panels, because the surface is always rough with all the bezels and whatnot, and it's not flat, I'll soak the part with this Mr. Mark Setter, which is actually incorrect. It's the softener part of the solution for that set from Mr. Hobby. I used that, but I used this for the setting solution, Hypersol. It's extremely aggressive, so put it on and then leave it. When you put it on, don't come back and rub the decal again, because it literally will just wipe away because it melts it down. If you can't get that, I had to get this from, I think I got it from Czech Republic or somewhere, I can't remember now. I've had it for several years. I can't get it in Australia anyway, no shop over here has it. I had to get it from Europe. If you can't get that, then that's the other one I'd use. That's the setting solution. It says softer, but it's back to front for some reason with that. Same thing, I'd flood that onto the decal and just leave it sit for a few hours to melt it down, and away you go. So while that's all drying, I also need to paint in. There's a screen at the top. It's supposed to be clear orange, so I'll paint that in, the radar screen. So I've just been preparing other parts up. So that's the right intake, and Tamiya have marked them so you can't get it wrong, but you're still going to need to clean up seam lines. They haven't solved that problem. Engines, obviously paint them separate because you can't get the paint in there that way. And the other part of the engine, so these are going to need to be, one of these has to be cut off here and here so the outer edges go, and what you're left with one which plugs into the it'll plug into the fuselage like so. I got to paint that in. When I saw their call out, I was like, what, that doesn't seem right, but this is the color you can paint in there, XF71, in the metal sections. That doesn't seem right, but I had a look at an image of I found a beautiful photo right up the tailpipes of the Phantom, and it is correct, they are green in there. I guess it's some sort of zinc or something coating like that, but it's using that, then I'm going to have to weather it because obviously it gets dirty from the flames from the afterburner and whatnot. To use spar for the main gear bays, I've just taken that off the sprue, so that's one part, and there's that piece there I had to glue in. So to paint, that's aluminium color in there. So I'm just preparing some sub-assemblies while I'm waiting for the instrument panel to dry. Then I can glue the put that in and glue the cockpit in and put the fuselage halves together. Well, yeah, but obviously I'll be putting the engines in as well before then, so I do need to paint them up. So when I get these together, I'm gonna see. Again, there'll be seam line that might be able to get away with this one because it's sort of shaped like the corrugation. The panel line is in the corrugation, so it might be alright. But I'll glue them then paint it to keep it clean. I've painted up engine parts. I've approached it differently to how I normally would. Normally I would use burnt iron, Vallejo metal colour burnt iron, which is very good, looks the part, but this time I thought I'd try something different. So I painted AK Extreme Metal Steel over black primer on these parts, and then over that I sprayed jet exhaust, AK Extreme Metal jet exhaust. It's keep it, you want the paint underneath to show, so don't blast it, just randomly spray. And I did the XF71, the green, in the burner can, and then the same thing, I sprayed that jet exhaust just randomly, so you can still see the green through it, and it's sort of splotchy, so it's not uniform all the way over. And let's face it, when this is all together and it's in the model, you're not going to see it. The wheel, all that inside the, that's not the wheel bay, but that's I don't know what parts they are, but it's, I'm hoping that's going to be exposed because there's a lot of nice detail there. That's where the main gear goes on the underside. Well, that's part of the engine, I'm guessing, but you can, I think there's a door that opens up underneath so you can see them. I sprayed, it's supposed to be aluminium, but I did it steel. Aluminium is, in the AK Extreme Metal, is extremely bright. I wanted a bit duller look, so I went with the steel. It's a bit duller than the aluminium, and it's still got the metal effect. And I've put in the, that's still drying, but I've put in the clear orange on that screen. On the screen first I put grey, then the clear orange. I didn't want it really bright, so it's not activated, turned on, no power to it. If you wanted it brighter, then put aluminium or something under the clear paint. Engines together, like I said, you're not seeing a lot, so putting the cockpit tub area in is quite simple. There's pins that line up, so you really can't go wrong. With the engines though, you need to align in the flame holders. There's a little nodule on it. I guess that's where the fuel might come through. Anyway, that little nodule has to be towards the bottom of the engine. So the instructions tell you that, but just take note that that's what you need to do. And also, where I cut the rod off, that goes towards the bottom as well. So there's, you can see there's two nodules on these, on the side of the engine. The top one goes into, there's a slot on the fuselage. The top nodule will go into there, not the bottom one. But you wouldn't get it in anyway, probably it wouldn't fit, so then it should be a simple case of that's one goes, might help if I put that in there properly, and yep, like so, so that will all fit nicely. And then when I glue that, and then we're putting in the spine on top of the aircraft, By the looks of it, I have to cut off one of the antenna, which would suggest that there will be different versions from Tamiya at some stage. I don't know when though. I think it's been a couple of years since they brought this one out. Before I glue the fuselage together, I've gone back to the beginning where I said some of these panels can go on later. I just wanted to check and make sure that these panels don't need to be fitted before the fuselage is closed up. And Tamiya do instructions for a reason. I think you'd be right. These rear ones are put in, so put that panel, that small panel there. What was the other one? Oh, that panel there on that side. But also there was a panel, that black panel, to go on the inside. So had I glued it up, I would have missed that one. And this side was a smaller panel on the front there, and the same again, there's a panel here and the engine panel or cover over the engine area. So that's all those done, and I put in the clear part for the lights. I put some silver in there and a bit of crystal clear, then put the clear part in. So that I only just did that, so if it looks a bit murky, it's because the glue's still drying. It will dry clear. Also, they show in steps throughout the build decals going in. Obviously you can't put it on now, it's not painted, so you have to remember to come back and do that if they haven't added it on the decal sheet, although I'm not doing the kit one, so it'll be different again. So that's all the panels done now for that. So I can move back to gluing the fuselage together, and then I'll start doing the spine. This spine section just sits on top of that. Like I said, you're going to take out the first antenna along the spine, which is that one. So before I did that, I looked at the scheme I want to do. I've finally decided on a scheme, and it's this one with the black spine and tail. It looks awesome with all the stars on it. And this particular scheme, that antenna is still there, so I'm not cutting it off. I'm going to leave it on. So there's the two antenna that are molded into that spine section, and you glue one more in, which is there. So I'm not cutting it off. I'm not sure why, but some of them, other schemes on this aftermarket decal sheet, like that one hasn't. That one's only got one antenna. That one's got three. That one's got one. So I'm not sure why they're all different, and they're all the same. They're all F-4B. So anyway, so basically I don't need to cut that off. So I've taken the wing section off the sprues. There is a whole heap of holes to be drilled for the weapons pylons, and the upper wings have got holes to be drilled for some pieces to be inserted on top. So Tamiya have given you the drill bit size. So we're using 1, 1.5, 0.8, 1.2, 1. Because there's so many, what I did, I started with whatever size drill bit, went around, did that size, and I just crossed it off as I went, so I did not forget any. So that's done. Now I've got to start putting in the framework for the landing gear bay. I've put all the inserts in for the gear bay. There was 4 pieces for each side. They all fit well. As you can see, I've painted it up for ease of access to get at it. This section here, the lip, which is the only bit you're going to see, is that XF71, the green. So I'll have to mask that off when I'm painting the aircraft colour. The wheel, the gear bays are white. I prime with black when I do the gear bays and that, to give it a dirtier look for the white. As I mottle it, the spray down, model it, so a bit of black shows through and that, and they give it shadowing and make it look grubby. So I can put that together, and then I need to put those pieces on the top of the wings, and then I can move on to intakes, which I've started sanding out these. I've got a couple of areas I need to clean up. I'll use CA glue so I can do it immediately instead of waiting overnight for putty. What I did to sand inside here, as you can see, it's awkward to get at. I cut off some sanding sponge and I just pinch it with the tweezers and just get in there and sand them out, and then go with the final one over where I sanded. And I'll have to repeat that obviously when I do the CA glue on that bit of a seam line. I got one on both of them, I think, so I'll clean them up. Okay, the wings are on. I'll just need to clean up the seam line where they sandwich together. So when this fits in, it's again nice and easy to locate. You got two pins on the fuselage there that will insert onto the wing, and we got a nice fit with the fuselage, the wing root, so there's no seam line, but there will be one from the trailing edge of the flap to the engine there, so you can see that line will need to be removed. That's not a natural panel line, which is pretty much all the Phantoms I've built, whatever brand, they go that way generally. I've started making up the right intake, so we got two parts that go together. I've cleaned up that seam line inside the intake. I've still got to paint it white. The intake, outer intake skin, it's a bit weird how they've designed it. So there's a small insert, you can see that, the panel line. So that piece there is a separate part with that insert that fits in to the intake, and that if it's a pitot, or not sure what it does, if it does measures air intake or something, anyway, that glues in. That will be aluminium, I think they call it for, but the actual intake will be white, and the lip where the panel line is will be the aircraft colour. And the fan intake, the first stage compressor fan, calls for aluminium outer, and the fan is called for white, but I'm not sure about that. I'm going to paint it aluminium, and you're really not, the time that's in, you're not seeing much because it's such a narrow intake, and being aluminium will be a bit brighter so that you actually can see in if you so desire. And being a Phantom, the intakes, how they attach to the aircraft, they got the huge plate. You can see it's best if you paint it before you put it on. So I'm going to paint that area on the backing, on that plate and on the fuselage before I glue that on, just for ease of access, and no need to mask it off or anything, because it's just going to be when I come in to paint, when it is together and I'm painting the rest of it, it will be the same colour, so no problem there. So I'll start doing that. Okay, so I finished painting up and putting together the right intake. So that's the actual aircraft colour, which is I'm using Mr. Hobby H325, and it's FS26440. Now it's supposed to be FS36440, but the first number 2 and 3 is just the difference of the gloss of the paint. I couldn't get the 3, so I got this one, and if I give it a flat coat, it'll end up as the same result if I use the other one, the sheen. So I painted the side of the fuselage there, like I said, and I painted the back of the plate wing. I can't remember now, that Tamiya don't call for it, but I don't know if they do or not in their kits. I put a sinker, fishing sinker in there, just to help with the keep it from being a tail sitter. I can't remember now, Phantoms or not. I only built one 6 months ago. I've forgotten about it already. So that just goes in and will sit there like that. All good. So it's a good fit. So I just need to glue that in and then repeat for the other side. I haven't painted the other side up yet. I was doing one at a time.